Good morning and happy Mother's Day. So if you're having a good Mother's Day. Yeah. I'll just say a little bit about what we're doing. This is what I call an easy crowd because it's like preaching to the choir here. Community and community building and spirituality and the basic idea, I think all of you probably understand very well, which is environment is stronger than willpower, and the best way we can use our will is to choose an environment that really supports our values, supports our development, supports our spiritual growth. And I have to say that because I've seen, I found Ananda when I was in my late teens, and was very blessed to be smitten by the spiritual path at an early age. And I have many friends and acquaintances who found everything else, and which no judgment intended. It's just that this is, I can easily see that my life would not have taken near the amount of growth, fulfillment, the values that are really important to me had I not chosen to live in an environment like Ananda Village, which I did for 24 years before we started Polestar Gardens in Hawaii. Most of you probably know the story, but in case you don't, we were there about 15 years. And then Madame Pele came with her volcanic touch and swept away our beautiful dream there. And so we were given the opportunity, a little late in life, if you ask me, to start over. And so Anne and I did a search. We traveled for about a year, many places, and lots of community interest these days, as you probably know. It seems like everyone is interested in community. But the place we landed is here in Fort Collins, and it just checked. It was significantly more ambitious than we would have chosen for ourselves, but we feel the guidance here, and in fact, it's unfolding day by day, and it really feels like the right thing. So our idea is that the best thing is if you just live there, you live somewhere where the teachings are part of your daily life. And we really had that in spades in Hawaii. We had a retreat center and led sadhana 3 times a day and a kirtan once a week, and volleyball on Friday, and lots of just engaging spiritual satsang activities. And it's easier to see now that sort of dream has passed, just how much impact it had on so many of us, because it's fairly intense lifestyle, really. We were hosting guests a lot, and so we were pretty much hitting the sadhana hard daily, and doing the practices and doing the studies and serving, and you sort of see it in retrospect a little more, just how powerful it was. And our endeavor in Fort Collins is a slightly different, actually significantly different concept. It's a spiritual community, no question about that. But as Polestar has sort of evolved over the years, and I think we got our start really with working with a lot of young people, and so we really didn't seek to convert young people to anything other than their own inner process and becoming authentic and becoming focused on what's real inside of them, and trying to engage in that process. And our method for that was, we did teach, especially energization and Hong Sa a fair amount, and quite a few students took to that, but quite a few more students just found a way of living that was more wholesome, that was more connected, that was more spiritualized. And so this sort of universal presentation of Yogananda's teachings has been Polestar's Dharma pretty much from the beginning. And true to that mission, our endeavor in Fort Collins is will include quite a bit of diversity spiritually, and that is by design. I should say that it's 148 units. The current rendering of it, it's still in process, but it's moving along. So it's basically a large neighborhood. We've been calling it an intentional neighborhood, and the concept is Polestar, as an educational nonprofit, will inhabit this common areas of the homeowners association. So that includes a dining hall, place to gather, meeting rooms, classrooms, a temple to meditate in, pickleball courts, volleyball courts, parks, a garden, a large community garden is a big focus for us. Our vision also includes elder care and preschool. So they're doing this across the country now. You may have read about them because there's been a few viral videos I've seen, but they're combining elder living with a preschool. And so they function in the same building and they function fine separately, but given their proximity, you can combine the two together to much mutual advantage. So that's part of our vision, is to create a community that really serves all ages, and that's the basic idea. So really, it comes down to Yogananda's teachings of how to live, and it's really wonderful to be able to ask that question now at the point of creating something completely new, and what have we learned in all these years of being on the path and in spiritual community? And if you have something you've learned you'd like to share, I'd love to hear about it, because I'm picking everybody's brains who's been in this work, because if we set this endeavor off in the right way, we have an opportunity to set it in motion with a good beginning and the right ideas and the right way to approach the various things you have to solve when people live together. And we've learned a ton. I mean, I lived at Ananda for many years. We started Polestar. Even in my late teens, I was part of a intentional community that failed miserably, but was a wonderful learning experience, as we say. So how to live includes, of course, the thing that's usually left out in our society, our spiritual development. It's like that conversation has to be front and center. At Polestar, one of our favorite mantras was, the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. And so that's what we really tried to do. Just come back to what it really is about. And what's really most important. Keep those core values in really clear focus. And life's going to continue, as we all know, to go up and down and around, and there will be war and peace, and there will be plenty and lack, and there will be up and down. And but what are we here for? What did we come for? How can we keep that in focus? And that's really, when you have a group of people helping you to do that, that's a real gift. That's a real gift. People show up and meditate together. People pray together, pray for others, practice seeing the highest in each other. People consciously engaged in spiritual living are magnetic and definitely help each of us to stay focused on the path. But then down from that sort of highest level of engagement, you've got all the other things. We want to grow our own food. We want to live lightly on the earth. We want to get out of our cars. We want to have a campus that meets all your needs, and that you can work there, you can recreate there, you can meditate there, you can visit with friends there. You don't have to drive all the time. And it's a big planetary issue, along with the fact, and those of you who know the new urbanism movement will know about this. Not only our penchant for driving around in big, heavy steel boxes, hard on the planet, they're especially hard on relationships. If you can be in an environment where people are on foot, a completely different quality of relationship will emerge. And people driving a lot is seen by a lot of people who know as one of the big community destroyers of our culture. It's really those chance encounters that happen every day, that you're passing by someone, that create the fabric and the connectivity of a community. So that's a big value. We want to live more simply. We want to live more locally. We want to grow more of our own food. We want to create a culture that looks out for those who have special needs. And I think of especially young people, which has always been an interest of mine. Education, and then elder people in our society are very underserved as well. And so we are very ambitiously shooting for a net zero building methodology. And if you don't know what that means, it basically means that the amount of energy you consume is not greater than the amount of energy that you generate. And surprisingly, this is in reach in Colorado due to the great amount of sunshine. In fact, this is quite an amazing thing to me. The city of Fort Collins has set a goal for itself by 2030 to have their entire grid be net zero energy. That's ambitious, but they're serious about it, and they're very excited to find somebody like us who's also excited, kind of crazy in the same way about it. We really want to, we want to live more harmoniously with our environment, and so that's part of it too. I could go on, and I generally do, but I could also stop, because I love to hear questions and comments. And I'll just say briefly before I ask for more comments and questions, where we are in our process. We've got kind of a big week, so you could keep us in your prayers. We have our neighborhood meeting on Thursday. So this is sponsored by the city, and it's kind of the public testimony drill, and so that ought to be interesting. And we have many locals who are interested in living in this community. So that's really a nice thing. And we're hoping quite a few of them will speak. But of course, as these things go, it's going to be a mixed crowd. So that'll be interesting. And basically we're in what they call the entitlement process, which is, it's a political process really, where you make your plan, you do the engineering, you submit it to the city officials, you get public comment, there's this sort of back and forth, it goes on, and then the whole thing takes years, literally. And then, you finally jump through all these hoops, and then you get your entitlements. And so that's kind of where we are in our process. Our intention and belief is that about this time next year, we will secure our entitlements, which is to say that we can begin the construction method, process. So maybe I'll stop there, and I would love to see anybody. And if you've got your Zoom shirt on, you can even show me your, but if you're in your PJs, that's okay.
It's hard to coax these folks out here, but
Oh, there. Oh, we're getting a few. Oh, I love seeing faces. Yes. Uh, easier
So,
talking faces than black boxes. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
before we go forward, do you want to take us on Facebook then, or yeah.
Oh, yes,
So
we'll do that.
let me just say one thing before you do that, and that is, anybody on Facebook, our Facebook friends, please come through our website now for the Q&A portion, because we're going to go off of Facebook now, and we would love to have you join us. So anyway, we'll go off Facebook now, and then we'll open for questions. So please, I'm going to hold back my questions because I'm hoping that some others will jump in there, but I have a few too. So anybody have any questions right now? Frank, Mallory?
Hey, Michael.
Hey.
Thanks for the talk. The point you brought up about the cars is very interesting. I read in a book. Someone went to an Amish community, and it's not that Amish hates technology. They actually embrace technology. They actually have people that go out to scout the newest technology. But what the number one criteria they look for in technology, whether it enhances their community or it pulls away from their community. And people, those scouts actually tried out cars when they first became, I guess, industrial. And they found that once people, they envisioned that once people start to get cars, they would drive out to these big cities and essentially get away from their community, and that's actually very harmful for their community, and thereby they don't like cars. And I forgot I was going with that.
Yeah, well, no, very good point. And I think that's basically where we are in our evolution. We can do all this cool, great stuff, but we haven't really thought it through yet. How cool and great is it really? And being on foot in a group of people, you get to know them so quickly. If you just leave from your garage, from your house, and go wherever you go. I mean, people don't know their neighbors. Very, very common thing in America anyway. So
you just reminded me. I think the surrogate these days now, especially in tech, where they're promoting these like open offices, open floor plan office, to create like these synchronicity effects, which is kind of like what you're referring to when you have a community base. And then you have like the surrogate now is like you go to a work and then you get to know your coworkers more than your neighbors because you're in proximity with them. And then when you have this open floor plan, you walk to different places and you strike up conversations, and then you just come up with new ideas or make friends, and that way. So now the workplace has become the surrogate for a community-based thing. Which is very interesting. And back in the days, I think like philosophers like Socrates and Aristotle's, the best way to discourse or to talk and to generate ideas was from just walking and talking, which is, I think, is very lacking these days when we have cars and non-close places to go to.
You bet. I should also mention that our campus is a mile and a half from the university, 3 miles from Old Town, which is downtown, this just most lovely, town center, half mile to a big grocery store. All these things are, and Fort Collins is considered one of the best biking cities in the world. People are on bikes everywhere. They have these fabulous bike trails that take you everywhere. And so we're watching all this stuff. We're looking at, they have these zip cars, where you can car share. And then they've got these new town cars that only go 25, 35 miles an hour. They're basically glorified golf carts. but they take up less room, and they're, you can zip to the grocery store with them, and you can share them. And so there's a whole lot of things. Transportation is just one of the big contributors to climate problems. And so we're really trying to see if we can move the needle on the American culture of, one SUV per person, basically.
Oh, nice. Awesome. For like starting a community, it's like, it takes a lot of energy, a lot of, collective energy and a lot of work. What are some like issues the challenges that you run into when starting a community? And also I think from what you mentioned is like there is no, like, anyone can join this community in a sense, but the community has its rules per se,
Yes.
like
No, very good
philosophy.
question. Very good question. And the yeah, basically the idea, we need lots of different kinds of communities because there's lots of different kinds of people. And the best thing we can do is be real clear about the kind of community we're creating, because then that pre-solves a whole bunch of problems. The hardest part of community is people, getting people to work together, people to, cooperate, people to be harmonious with each other. And in that regard, we have a great advantage in our own, spiritual culture, which is the understanding about meditation and the understanding about that we're here to work on ourselves, we're not here to fix everybody else. We're here to grow each of us. And so that's kind of the main thing for us. We're putting it out there that we want to meditate with each other, and we're going to hold that as a very strong focus at the center of Polestar, which is what we've always done. And so we've also learned, I've shared this before, I'll just share it briefly. In human relations, we've identified 4 things in community building that if you do them regularly, you will have as much harmony as is possible in a group of people. And the first one is that you share sacred space. So that is, meditation is certainly great. Kirtan also checks that box. There are other things, ritual, that put people in that transcendent space together where they feel the sacredness of life, of themselves, of each other. So you've got to find a way to get into that space with people regularly. And with this is something that's just part of our culture. We show up and we meditate, we chant and meditate and pray for others every morning. It's just having that in place is huge advantage in harmony of human relations. And then the second thing is creative service. People who are, a lot of karma yogis in our group, and probably in this group too, you're trying to figure out how to do something useful, for others, and being creative in it. And that is bonding. That is really deeply bonding. I mean, the people you share, people you've been in the trenches with for years and in serving are really deep friends. It just, you can't get away from it. It's just deeply bonding. And then the third one is food. Food's actually important in human relations. Sharing food, breaking bread, creative cooking. It's just one of the ways that we relax with each other and enjoy each other's company. And then the fourth one is play. And this is the one that really gets overlooked. And I always mention that quote. How does it go? We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. So that's something that Polestar has actually made a very conscious effort to keep in focus. It's important to laugh. It's important to So those four things all contribute to a more transcendent experience of relationships. And that's not to say you won't get into drama here and there, but if those things are in place, you've got a deep well of positive energy and positive experience that you can draw on to navigate, just the grind of daily life, which, as we know, can be brutal at times. So,
thank you. I'm gonna write those four things down.
Thank you, Michael. That was wonderful, and thank you, Frank, for your questions as well. There is Supriya's asked a question to just clarify. She's in California. She's at Ananda right now. She says, "All sounds great, Michael. So people living in the community would not have to be interested in meditation or master." I think you sort of answered at least the meditation part of that. What would you do with someone who wanted to pursue Kriya practice, praying for Polestar success in master?
Okay, well, let me back up just a minute, and I'll answer the first part of that, which is, what's the filter that would keep people who are the right people coming to this community? And it's a very, very good question. And my answer has a couple of different levels to it. The first one is, it will be a homeowners association, and you will pay dues. And those dues will support the mission of Polestar Gardens. If it really isn't your cup of tea, that's the first filter right there. Why sign up for a place if you have absolutely no interest in Polestar's mission? Why sign up for a place where you're actually paying for it? So that's a very practical level one. Here's another thing. Lots of people will move into a community. Everybody, I know people, I lived at the village for 24 years. People change. People evolve. I hate to even say it, but I doubt every single person that is meditating. In fact, I know it's not true. So a community is going to keep evolving. It's just going to keep changing. In our way of looking at it, we're gonna occupy the center of it with the values that we hold sacred, and that's going to be kept, down the decades. How people evolve in their relationship to the path or themselves, it can weather that. And if you look at a place like the village or other communities that have been there a long time, it's inevitable that people will go different directions. It just can't be, it's just life. And so acknowledging that, why not set up a community in such a way where you have a neighborhood? I always say everybody lives in a neighborhood, and I'm in a little condo association right next to our property here, and there's houses 20, 30 feet from me. They don't come and meditate with me in the morning. I'm not offended. I'm still gonna, meditate every morning. So it's set up by design to be much more of a vote with your feet kind of a enterprise. Now, when we were in Hawaii, that was anything but that. That was an ashram. And we basically did a very different expression of community. This is not that, no. And so I think, Supriya, to get to your question finally, because I wanted to give it that little bit of background, in the end, people make their own experience of community. In the end, the reality is you will pick your place in orbit around the spiritual center that you choose. And in our context, we're going to make that easy to do in a neighborhood setting, in an intentional neighborhood setting. But just moving, it's all evolutionary. And having lived in community for almost 50 years, I can see that it's all evolutionary, and the evolution will never stop. And my goal for Polestar is to set up the values there and the focus so that that particular expression can, thrive down the decades. And it's not everybody's cup of tea, but somebody who's a Kriyaban and who wanted to make the most of that experience could absolutely thrive at Polestar. And there are many of us already involved. And we also have quite a wonderful group of Thich Nhat Hanh devotees who we just have this amazing connection with, actually. And they love to meditate, and they come to our kirtans. They love to chant, and it's like they are welcome. That's all I have to say. They are welcome, and I think they add a wonderful energy to the community. And you look at what Master taught. Church of all religions. He wanted to meet people where they were and help them grow, help them be uplifted. And so, for some people, it's not Kriya Yoga, it's not even meditation. It might be just being around people who live well and are honest and have some measure of creativity and virtue in their lives, or that they value. And to me, making that accessible to others is really why we created Polestar. So, and Supriya, feel free to re-ask your question, because I'm not sure I hit the nail on the head, but maybe I did. But if you want to follow up to that, go for it.
So that was beautiful. I do want to say that our kirtan on Friday night, which was just a big love fest, is the way I describe it, was in our temporary home of Dallas Meditation Center, and their primary teachings are they follow Thich Nhat Hanh, and so we have just this deep connection along those same lines here in Dallas. It's funny that you say that, and it was so sweet after 2 years to have the two communities come together, and I felt just like the way you described it. It was just so simpatico and
Awesome.
and mutually, supportive and beautiful and astral and all those things. So
That is
yeah,
great to hear. And is this something the world could use right now? Oh my
absolutely.
gosh.
Yeah, it really is. And it sounds like you're really clear in your Dharma that way too, which I think is very magnetic. Ellen here has also made a comment. Michael, this is wonderful. How many homes do you currently have on site? And do you have a space for people to visit? And that was along the lines of one of my questions is, do you have a way for people to come up and visit or experience it even in its, nascent form right now? So.
Okay, yes. And this is the ambitious part. We bought raw land, and there was a farmhouse on it. And Dennis and Bailey are longtime Yogananda devotees. It's their farmhouse. They sold us the land. They kept the farmhouse. And so we do not, and this is really hard too, because so many people want to visit. But we do not really have any place for people to stay. We have a network of people, some of whom have guest rooms, and so there is some potential there. But we're trying to get that going. It's not going too well yet. However, there's lots of Airbnbs in Fort Collins, and plenty of people are just coming that way, staying in an Airbnb, and then they can come to a kirtan. And we're having our family camp in July, which is already filled up, at least for the camping part. But other people are coming and just renting a room at the YMCA of the Rockies, which is a beautiful resort up there, very near our campground. And so we'll be up there 3 to 5 days. And that week before, we're going to have kirtans and hikes and dinners. And so there is a week in July that you could come. and get a lot of community connection. And but I'm sorry to say, because at Polestar we could, in a pinch, we could at our Hawaii ashram we had you get 40 people there, so you always had cabins and rooms, and it was so nice to be able to just welcome people who wanted to come take a look. For now, that is not possible, but you can do Airbnbs. So, and then it's 100. Oh yeah, I think I answered that already. It's 20 acres, and when it's all built out, it'll be about 140 some units, and all the other functions I described.
So do you think that you will, well, first of all, people could stay updated by joining your email list or probably, right, on events that you may hold?
Absolutely.
So maybe we can put that in the chat. Is there a way to just go out to Polestar Gardens? Is that, I'm trying
Yes.
to remember the website.
It's actually worth seeing. In fact, you could even bring it up. Might be fun for people to see it if you wanted to share the screen. Polestarvillage.com. If you wanted to bring it up right now, and you can sign up there. And actually, why don't you bring it, because we got a nice artist rendering of the village center there now. And
is your plan to like have some different events, or like the camping is great, but it's actually not near where the it's not in Fort Collins. Do you think that in the future you'll have events that, even though you don't have, people can't live or stay on the land, but you'd have maybe a series of events or a long weekend that's sort of a
absolutely
introduction to community life at Polestar, the vision kind of thing? And I just
absolutely yeah, and we're still sort of post-COVID,
right,
or just barely post-COVID. In fact, I don't know if you heard my story, but spent 2 years trying not to get it, and then vaccinated and boosted and everything. I finally got it 2 weeks ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
How are you doing? Are you doing okay?
I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. But I was traveling to see my 1-day-old grandson, and I brought it to the house, which was just mortifying. But no, it all worked out. Somehow my daughter and my grandson didn't get it. We managed, but everybody else got it. My granddaughter got it. My son-in-law got it.
Oh boy. Did Anne get it too?
Anne got it. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was eventful. But you can see that little picture there of the village center. And this is the lifestyle. You can see the temple on the left. You can see a big garden. And these are all multifamily around it. A couple of pickleball courts, agricultural building. And yeah, basically, the other thing I didn't mention about transportation is the adjacent street to the south of us is Elizabeth Street and has public transportation on it. And it's slated to be upgraded to what they call the Max line, which is to say you can catch a bus there anytime and go anywhere, And so you could really live here, especially with the car sharing thing, without owning a car. Should really be a great thing.
One thing I was going to ask you about too is, I know this is all evolving, so I just wanted to get clarification on this. At one point you had said that the first building that you were going to build was going to be, for lack of a better word, ashram-like, that you were going to have a core group of, I believe, Yogananda devotees that would help to just magnetize that core. Is that still part of the plan? Or
it is. And I'm glad you brought it up. So on the green there's a couple of multifamily things. One has 10 units, and 2 of them have 12 units. And my idea is that we find some number of us, 8, 10, or 12, and we build one of those units first. There's 2-bedroom and 1-bedroom in them. And the idea would be, let's say we did the 12-unit one, You could take one of the units and make it a temple, take another one and make it the common dining hall. And then, 10 parties could move into the rest of the units. So you would have in one building, getting back to those 4 things I mentioned, all the things that you want to be able to do in a group. And basically, it'll only get better from there. You've arrived, you've got daily practice, you got a place to go meditate and catch a meal and visit and have a class. So yes. We have an interesting ownership model as well that Ananda has used for years, with some mixed results. But we've learned a lot about how to do it better and better. And it's a method of ownership, some of you will know about it, called tenants in common, where people can go in on a large building together. And it functions a lot like you own your own home, but in fact, you only own a piece of the whole. But for tax reasons, et cetera, it functions a lot like you own your own home. So anyway, there's a way that a bunch of us could go in on property like that together. And when a unit is vacant, it's rented. You can be the steward of your own unit and not pay rent because you own it. And it functions a lot like home ownership. Many of the Ananda colonies use that model. I believe Sacramento, Portland, et cetera. So there's we're working on a lot of these things right now to try to find the best way to do them. But when people pool resources, it's amazing what you can accomplish. Everybody puts in what they can, and all of a sudden you can do amazing things, So, okay, I saw a question chat by, what was it?
Bit about
Yes.
investment opportunities and stuff for people that.
Yes. All right, let me speak quickly about that. And if you're interested, I can send you much more information on it. But basically, we are employing what's really called peer-to-peer lending. And another way you could look at it is it's crowdfunding, basically. So we basically have a bunch of different people putting in anywhere from $5,000 to $250,000. And for now, the way that works is that is a loan to the nonprofit to complete the entitlement process, which we expect to take about another year, probably go a little longer as these things go, but I don't really want to affirm that. But at that point, your loan to the nonprofit can be converted into a building lot ownership or a product ownership. So at the point at which we have the entitlements, we can say, okay, now we're going to transfer that loan, convert that loan, and you now own maybe a piece of this multifamily or maybe this lot, or it depends on what you want. And so if you don't want to convert, it's a 4-year note and with 4% interest, and you get all your money back in 4 years. That's the deal. If you do want to convert, you can convert at a rate of 6%. So we give a slight interest increase there because it is easier on us to have you convert because we're actually retiring the debt at that point. So anyway, there's more to the story, and it's somewhat technical. I don't want to bore everybody with it, but basically you're loaning money to the nonprofit to pull this off. Normally a developer would put up all this money, and then just so you know where we are in our process, we need to raise about 3.8 million to do to get us down the road. We've raised about 2.2, and so we're well on our way, and we have lots of people interested. So we're feeling like this is trying to happen. I should also mention this is a mixed blessing. At this point, our realtor keeps saying there are no building lots in Fort Collins. There are no building lots in Fort. So we kind of are in a premium product situation, and it's a blessing because it secures the project much better. There's value there. The banks relate to it. People get it. Yeah, we have 19 single family home lots. That's a lot of value, and went for something that doesn't exist in our environment. And the bad news is, one of our big goals is attainable housing. We want a diverse community. Anyway, if it were easy, everybody'd be doing it. So we just have to, keep doing the best we can. And really, the multifamily will be much more affordable, or attainable, I should say, and it will also, we include in the multifamily a number of kind of micro units. Our smallest unit is 410 square feet. That's it. That's a tiny house, and it's functional design, and it actually, personally, I would live there in a heartbeat. Honestly, you got a whole community to roam around in, and lots to do. Who needs a couple thousand square feet to heated space around them to so
Well, that's beautiful, Michael. Thank you for sharing that. And they can get in touch with you through the website with more specific questions along those lines. There's one question. It says, this is from Mallory. Mallory, do you want to just open up? And yeah, you've got your mic on, so why don't you go ahead?
I think the whole thing is brilliant. It's just brilliant. I love it. I just wanted to say that it wasn't really a question. My main question at first was about being able to work in the city, because I would need to do that if I lived there. And I also love how you're consciously including elders, and from the very beginning. And I think it was in Palo Alto, they have a community, and they have the elders raising herbs, because not all of us can do that heavy physical work. I thought that was a really neat idea.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh.
See if there's.
Let's see.
Supriya had another question. Is what do you do with a person who does resonate with Yogananda and wanted to pursue Kriya?
Oh, I see. I can
see you magnetizing his children as well as other types of meditation.
Oh, I see. I would say, the politics involved in Yogananda organizations are not something I'm really want to participate in. How to say it kindly. Polestar's sort of path through it has been, we will teach the energization and the Hong Sa, but generally send people to either Ananda or another organization, if they're part of it, to get Kriya. It's just so I don't know if that answers your question, but you're correct in assuming that Polestar does not teach Kriya, and I don't think that's really in the cards or something we're interested in. We have quite a few SRF members who are interested and part of Polestar, and quite a few Ananda members. Go figure. Have to hammer that out somehow.
You guys always, I've sat in on one of your Raja Yoga classes. You do Raja Yoga as well. So it's basically like, it sounds like you basically give everybody the basic tools, and then if they've decided to go deeper, they'll connect with the official, Kriya organization of their choice. But but it sounds like over the
I think
years
that's
you've
appropriate.
provided the foundation.
I think that's appropriate. You know, I don't think it's something we need to argue about, but I think it's appropriate, especially because they will get more support in that organization. You know, Polestar is not, it's just not what our focus is, you know. So I just think it's a smart thing. And, you know, you know, my loyalties are to Master, really. But I was born and raised at Ananda, so it's really, yeah, it's really, you know, it's really my spiritual home. But I am in my own Dharma. It's really about humankind, and everyone came here for something, and anybody who crosses your path is for a reason. And so I just think you have to. Well, what did Vivekananda say? It's a blessing to be born into a religion, but a curse to die in one. So, you know, I think we're all tasked with the need to transcend our own, you know, to become our true self. You know, capital S. It's not about being in a club. It's about becoming yourself. And so, but that said, I seek nothing but goodwill and harmony with anybody who's doing anything remotely positive on this planet. And certainly you've got some really wonderful organizations based on Yogananda's teachings who do amazing work. And so.
I think we're going to see a lot more diversity in the years to come with Master's teachings. They are universal, and you know, they'll be, everybody's going to tune into it in whatever way. But it sounds like you're pretty clear in your Dharma of creating spiritual community and intentional community, and you're going to share it from your heart in the way you were brought up, so to speak, through these
Right.
teachings.
Right.
And that's going to be, you know, very enriching.
Well, and I think even in Ananda, because Swami set it up very, very, so it could prosper diversely. He really did.
Yeah.
And I really thought it was brilliant the way he put it together organizationally, because it does allow a lot of initiative and a lot of creativity and keeps a thread of connection. I think that was a really wonderful you know, way to set it up so it could have that positive quality of diversity. But you know, here's something: nothing will be perfect.
Yeah, right.
There won't be perfect. Hello.
Yeah.
Or any other place you go to.
And when, you know, here in Dallas, we've been, you know, sharing the teachings for nearly 30 years, and I can relate to everything you're saying. You know, people come in and they want spiritual nourishment, and even there's those that go all the way to Kriya, through Kriya, and you know, there's so many just permutations, and you know, we're sharing, you know, from our hearts, and we just want to support people where they're at. That's what you do when you're out in the world. And then, you know, there's these other I mean, Ananda has a more specific mission in one sense, but some of us are meant to be out here in the battlefield in a big way, but also realizing that you come together in community. It can give a whole nother light. It's just sharing. Master said community. He was really big on that. So that was Swami's vision, and then giving the basic teachings, and people can take that and they'll make it their own. You know?
Well, I think, and of course, the thing you have to remember is that Master didn't say, you know, thousands of youths must go east, north, west, south, and form self-realization colonies. He said world brotherhood colonies.
Oh, there you
And
go.
so his emphasis was really on the spirit of things, on the and very much on community and brotherhood. So I commend you for the work you're doing. I think it's great. I just had one question. It was like our reading today was the Martha and Mary reading, which you're probably familiar with.
Ouch.
I can tell by the look on your face. But it's like, and Mayantra and I were commiserating a little bit about how sometimes we slip into that Martha energy, and of serving and forgetting why you're serving and what the important things about serving. And you do so much. I'm wondering what you do beyond the obvious answers of meditation and chanting and everything to kind of keep yourself in a merry frame of mind.
Yes. Well, still learning, of course, like everyone else. But I really believe Master says the law of meditation is the law of happiness. It's like we forget that at our peril. And if I don't stay focused, this project is kind of great because I have no choice but to stay focused. I mean, this will eat me right up. No, it's not an easy thing to pull off. But I think many years of working at it, you do get better at just keeping the main thing. And I try to keep my time sacrosanct. And I would encourage everybody to do the same because Maya is so insidious and so good at finding ways to trick you into thinking other things are more important, So, I think that it's all those S's: sadhana, study, serve. You just you just keep going back to them, and you find yourself off. You've lost the focus. It's just, so.
Well, I've known you for many, many years, and I've known some things that, we're not going to get into here now, but what Master has put you through and the way you have continued to grow spiritually and share the light is just, deeply inspiring to me. I mean, it is really clear to me that you're very true to that mission of Master's, and that he's your evolution, it stands on its own. I just want to say that it's you have been honed well, you've been chiseled well, and I still can't believe that you're as willing as you are, but that also is so inspiring, and I think that magnetism is going to bring success for everyone that gets involved in this project. And we, as we hoping to be part of that too. We got to get our act together along those lines, but we're very supportive. Mark and I are very supportive of what you're doing, and excited to get up there and see you guys again too soon. So
that would be great, and I really appreciate the positive energy here, and it was nice to come in and meditate with you guys for a few minutes, and and thanks to you guys and everyone for holding it there in Dallas all these years. It's amazing. It's not easy to do. I know it
isn't easy, and these times are creating more opportunities, and we're trying to figure out what our next steps are. But I think that whole community thing is how you build the community and nurture the community is the essence of it. And so we'll see what Master has in store, and where people's hearts are going to draw them to, give energy and participate, because that's sort of the bottom line. I know personally I've been going by through this pandemic is just really following that thread of enthusiasm, that helps me to stay focused and to take those next steps, because otherwise I would just be blowing around in the wind. So fortunately these teachings and our service here has been feeding us quite a bit, but we're looking for those next steps as well. So anyway, I'd like to just see if anybody else has a question. You know, feel free to open your cameras. See, Kevin joined from Colorado. He's up
Right.
there in Fort Collins. He comes down and visits us a lot. So, anybody else would like to ask a question or open their cameras? There's Linda.
Just wave by or anything.
Do you have something you want to say, Linda? You're unmuted. Oh,
no,
we
she's
can't.
not. All right. Well, and I, truth be
Can't hear
told,
you.
I have a Mother's Day brunch to prepare, and I am running a little bit late.
Okay.
And,
Well,
So we could wrap up. I want to say that I'm available. This is my job to talk to people about this. If you want to call me, you're interested in investing or want more information, just contact me. And I'm happy to talk about it. Yeah. So I'm very available these days because this is what I need to do. And so, yeah, feel free to call or email and come visit if you get the chance. And yeah, really appreciate the opportunity, Maitri and Mark, to connect with you guys.
Sorry
We're
about
still
that.
here. Our camera
We're
battery
here.
just died.
He's
Okay.
going to change the battery. Well, do give our love to Anne and happy Mother's Day to her too. And if you just hold on 1 minute so we can change our camera and wave goodbye. Sorry about that. The battery here. It'll be just 1 second, and then we'll leave you with our classic goodbye. There it is. Okay, here comes Mark. So let's all just come together and we'll say namaste,
Namaste,
y'all.
Hey. Okay, happy Mother's Day, everyone. Great
Yeah,
to
happy Mother's
see
Day.
you all.
Everybody have a great week.
Stay cool, those of you in Texas. It's hotter than you know what out there. Okay, bye
Take
bye.
care. Bye-bye.